The Seattle Mariners offseason plans. Let's talk about it. So in case some of you guys have missed it, there has been a few things released based on what the Mariners have in mind for this offseason, with some comments from Dipoto as well as John Stanton. So we're going to go over some of those things in today's video, and also going to give you some of my opinion on some of the things that they are saying. So there was an article by Adam Jude in the Seattle Times that kind of basically said that John Stanton plans on increasing payroll in 2025. Now we'll get into a little bit more detail about what that means later on in the video, but the one thing I want to hone in on from this article is the fact that it says the M's do not intend to dive deep into the free agent market. And in this article, it was a wording of basically saying the scars of the Robinson Cano contract is what holds them back from signing guys like, say, Juan Soto to a long-year deal. Now, I just want to remind John and the team that when Robinson Cano was in Seattle, he had a OPS of 826. He had an OPS plus of 129. He had 2 top 10 MVP finishes. As well, he was a huge reason that the Seattle Mariners ended up signing Nelson Cruz. And later on, he was eventually dumped for most of his money, so most of that contract really wasn't even paid for in the first place. So I'm not really sure what they're referring to when they say scars of a guy like Robinson Cano. Now, that being said, I'm not necessarily opposed to the Mariners not really tapping into any major free agents, but to go out and say this early in the offseason after the team just missed the playoffs yet again, to say that you're not going to go push after any big free agent essentially, like so not even going to bother offering Juan Soto some type of contract, even though most likely he would never come here anyway, and nor can they pay him enough money that he would even want to come here. They can, they just will never offer him that much money. So like I said, I'm not necessarily opposed to not necessarily tapping into major big free agents this offseason, especially since there really isn't too many that stand out. There are a lot of, going for that aging number. But essentially, I don't have a big problem with that because I think this team is very talented as it is. That being said, they need to go out and add some pieces to make this team better. But nonetheless, I think that this team is very talented the way they are. But the timing of this just doesn't make sense because why are you coming out so early and often saying that you're just not tapping into any free agent markets? And a little bit of disclaimer moving into the money aspect of the Seattle Mariners offseason based on some comments. I am not an arbitration genius. I'm not a non-tender genius. I don't fully understand a lot of these contracts, but I'm going to be giving you guys the best of my understanding on what they mean and kind of just my opinion on it all. So the one positive thing that we heard from Dipoto is that they do not plan on trading any pitchers this offseason, which is huge to keep this pitching staff intact, as well as they don't really plan on, I know there were some rumors about trading a Randy Arozarena and possibly a pitcher, but those have also kind of been debunked for the most part, and they do plan on keeping this outfield intact for a long time, or at least until, the next 2 years. But here's kind of the thing that really is not mentioned too often when it says John Stanton, or at least on their side, says that he's going to increase payroll in 2025. So let's get into some contract situations that the Mariners will have to deal with this offseason and kind of where this said increase in payroll is coming from. So starting with Julio Rodriguez, he will see an $8 million increase in his salary just based on how the way his contract is structured. Victor Robles will be making $3.5 million this upcoming season, which is an increase from what he was making this year. Dylan Moore, Andres Munoz, and Mitch Garver will also see contract increases on their guaranteed multi-year deals with the Mariners. Now, the only player that if he were to still be a Mariner going into next season that will see a contract decrease is Mitch Haniger, who will see about $5 million come off his contract for next year. So right there, just to start, that is 5 players who will be making more money next season than they did this season. So this is where it gets a little interesting for the Seattle Mariners in terms of how much money they're really going to have to be dishing out this offseason, and that is with a lot of arbitration deals. So you're going to be seeing first-time arbitration candidates like Cal Raleigh and George Kirby definitely making a good significant amount of money in terms of increasing their salary this 2025 season. Now, MLB Trade Rumors has the value for these two combined anywhere from $1.5 to $10 million based on where the Mariners see them. But that's not all. You have a lot of other guys like Randy Arozarena, Logan Gilbert, Josh Rojas, Trent Thornton, Austin Voth, Gabe Spire, Taylor Saucedo, and the list goes on for guys that are in the arbitration window where they will be making more money in 2025. So now that is in my mind where John Stanton is referring to, extending and keeping the payroll increase from 2024 into 2025, is they're just going to have to pay a lot of guys to stay in-house, and based on what Dipoto is saying, they want to keep a lot of these guys in-house because why get rid of them when they have super big value, and a lot of them are going to have really good years next year. So they're going to keep those guys in-house, which in turn means you're going to have to pay them more in 2025. Now, where I believe that the Mariners will make up some of this money to be able to cover these arbitration cases is one, Mitch Haniger's contract. I believe they will end up dumping him or trying to trade him somewhere else for who knows who, but they will try to get rid of that contract if they can. And I also, unfortunately, think they will be getting rid of Jorge Polanco's contract. As Adam Jude did say, the Mariners have led to believe that they will not be accepting the club option. Now, when I say disappointed, I know a lot of Mariners fans will not be disappointed if he is not a Mariner in 2025, but what I'm referring to is just the second base carousel continues to spin for the Mariners. They cannot find a guy that they could just just put there for a few years and just let him play, because they all struggle when they come. A lot of second basemen have struggled when they come to Seattle, and it just continues to be a problem. But either way, I think by them not accepting this contract, they're kind of using it as throwaway money. Like, they're expecting the $12 million to not be there already, so they're going to use that $12 million and put it to arbitration cases and just make their life a lot easier. So that being said, I think the Mariners are continuing to try to take an easy way out and say, hey, we're increasing payroll, but really it's just using to be paid to players that are already here. And, maybe they'll get one or two guys this offseason, but I would not expect anything big, unfortunately. But just for fun anyway, what are some guys that you guys would like the Mariners to pick up this offseason? I have a few in mind that I will be sharing in a later video. But otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I hope you guys got a little bit of a better understanding on the Mariners' money situation going into this offseason. But otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.